Hi guys, thanks for coming. I'll answer your questions for you.
Any questions? Front row right, Austin.
We're good. You're going.
Urban, Zeke was pretty good with one healthy wrist last year. How big of a deal is it that he now has two?
You know, I actually, we really studied how, I think it actually helped him in a bizarre way. He's our best, one of the best guys I've ever seen pad level. And because he always had it, I think, in his right, his left is the one that's hurt. And he really learned how to protect himself. So the thing that the healthy wrist gives you is the, using this to defend off people. So that still remains to be seen, and we'll evaluate that during the year, but I do think that'll be very helpful for him.
Have you noticed, you say you're going to evaluate during the year, but noticed any difference trying to test out that stiff arm or anything like that?
No, I haven't watched that closely, to be honest with you. He's doing very well, though.
Back row middle, Steve.
Yeah, that was my question. You went through 8 or 9 practices in 6 or 7 days, and you have so much kind of pinned on him after the way he played last year. Just how did he come through it, and how do you walk that line of getting in his work and not putting him in harm's way?
Yeah, we didn't, he hasn't, I'm trying to think, we have not had him to the ground tackle, which is not uncommon for a guy that's rushed for 2,000 yards. So, he works hard. He's, when he's in there, he goes very hard. So, that is a fine, what you just brought up is a fine line, not just with him, but the Taylor Deckers of the world, the Pat Elflines, and it's everyone that's dealing with that issue. Last year wasn't so much an issue because you didn't know, and so you had to go out and let him play a bunch. Today we had a big, long scrimmage, but a lot of it was, guys that haven't played. So, but that's every coach, the question you just asked, that's the #1 thought of every coach right now at this time of year.
Front row, Tim.
Yeah, a couple of questions. Number one, the 2 quarterbacks battling for the starting job, have you seen some delineation? Have you seen some separation? What's just your take on those guys after your full week of practice and a scrimmage?
They're both
Let's not get the whole question.
They're both doing good.
Both doing good. You're sticking by the deal. You're not going to make an announcement until.
And
yeah.
I'm telling you, and I try to be as honest as I can, and they're neck and neck. One guy's, I really thought in my mind 2 days ago, one guy was starting to move ahead of the other, and then guess what today is? They're back to, I haven't graded it yet.
In Braxton, how is that move looking now to you?
Typical, like I talked to, it's interesting, Terrell Pryor, I never met Terrell. I talked to him on the phone during recruiting once or twice, but I met him at the Cleveland Browns game. And what a big athlete he is. But very nice young guy. We talked for a little bit, and he's dealing with hamstrings because quarterbacks, Braxton's life has not been spent running, and what receivers basically put on track shoes and go for 2 hours. And so his body, next week's a big week for Braxton. He had a little tight hamstring that we held him out today, but not pulled. He should be ready to go on Monday.
Back row left, Matt.
Just want to know how the week was, as you talked about big goals getting through this health, Mike Weber injury, but how do you feel like it went health-wise and also the work you got?
That's it. And I always say this about Mike. I get very upset when I see reporters, and I can't remember who did it, but they start saying that my sources told me that so-and-so's hurt. I'm going to ask you very politely, don't, if it's a source, hey, I heard so-and-so had a good practice, I'm fine. But there's a process, and it's much more, families involved, and we try to do right by families and people and all that. And before, that was reported before we knew exactly what it was. Someone showed me, and so if you are contacting people inside, I'm going to fire them. So it's good. I think, man, I got my job to do, but that's why we have press conferences and we try to help you guys out. So I'm just going to ask, politely that if everybody has a job to do, we try to be as honest as we can with injuries, but we let us do our. I don't care about you, I don't care about our coaches, I care about the kids and their families, and let us go through the process of properly diagnosing it, making sure we got to talk to the families and everybody's, because then all of a sudden now panic's on, and whoever, I can't remember who did that, I've asked Jerry to just visit with you guys, and like I said, if hey, I heard so-and-so had a good day, so that's fine. I'll fire the guy too if I hear that he's calling people and letting you know. That's why we have press conferences. So when I hear your sources, that's why you have press conference. And if you have a question about injury, if I can tell you, I will tell you. If I decide it's not best, it's because I got to protect our program. I'm not trying to keep things from people. So I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, and it's been great here. But that was the one, I remember someone said, boy, Mike, you got her. I said, what do you mean? And it was out in, someone put it out there that their sources told them that Mikey got hurt. Mikey's doing very well. He's walking without crutches right now. It was a meniscal tear, and he had it fixed already. And I would anticipate, he won't be ready for the first one, but and there's a chance we won't redshirt him. He had a really good camp up to that point. I think he got a stripe offer, one of the first guys too. So, was that your question?
Yeah, and also just how the week went, as you talked about.
Yeah, week went great. Today wasn't great. They're blown out. We had a two-a-day yesterday. We had 3 two-a-days this week, 3 double sessions, and it was not what I'd hoped. I would have probably expected, but I was hoping we'd be a little more mature. And so we got to come back Monday and do much better. But overall, it went really well. Where we went for our little pro, I think you guys had a day down there at our little pro camp down at Coffee Field. That's great. And so we're on schedule. A little disappointed today.
Front row, Bill.
Last year's defense obviously peaked at the right time. Overall, how would you assess how it played last year, and what can and must it be this year?
I think our defense by the last 3 games was as good as I've ever witnessed. Obviously, we had some growing pains because we blew up the secondary and changed dramatically what we were doing. A very systematic approach now. So I love where we're at. The interior D-line is one area of concern right now. We had to hold Mike Hill out today. He's going to be fine. His leg was bothering him. And then Munger, we held him out today. But they've had 2 good camps. If we can get, right now you have Washington and Shutt. You have Hale, who was also held out because he pulled that muscle, the calf muscle. But they're all going to be full go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we're hoping the interior is going to be a little bit by committee. And Sam Hubbard right now has got the edge at the defensive end spot.
And in terms of questions that you have, what are the biggest 2 questions you have about the defense?
Backup offensive line and interior D-line. Those are 2 areas.
Is Shutt showing you what you wanted to see?
Yeah, Shutt's had a good camp.
What's that mean to you?
I mean, the clock has been ticking. He's really handled himself the right way. He's had a really good camp. He's one of our top 5 most improved. I put Noah Brown, Tommy Shutt, Garyon Conley, Chase Ferris, Briante Dunn. Those guys are all in the top 5 as far as most improved guys. And Shutt's certainly one of them.
Front row.
And
left.
Sam Hubbard, I throw him in there. And Jalen had a good day too, Jalen Holmes. So.
Front row left. Doug.
Urban, beyond the health aspects for Braxton, in terms of the other things you have to do as a receiver, is he at a point, can he start against Virginia Tech? Is he
Sure.
able to do that?
Sure. My plan is to try to get him ready to do that. And, the routine, we have 2 routines we always talk to our players about. Number 1 is the routine getting ready for a game, and that's what you eat, what you wear, how you sleep, and all that. And the other routine is per play. As a receiver, it's much different than quarterback. Quarterback, you don't have to get lined up. You have to find a center and stand behind him. But, so he's really developing his routine. And even today, he was out there. I didn't scrimmage him, but he was getting his routine, getting his play, getting his split, and then identifying the coverage. So he's getting real close.
So you're thinking he's your starting age?
I'm not ready to say that. I want him to be.
And then with Tony Alford and Tim Beck, new additions to the staff this year, just what do you see with them working in during their first preseason?
Very good, very good. I'm more worried about player relationship and developing a unit than I am so much about impacting the scheme. I think they both have, but they're doing very well.
And with that,
Great additions.
When you have a staff, what's your balance between wanting continuity and wanting guys who are going to have opportunities to move on?
Oh, I hate when guys lose really good coaches, but I also love the fact that Tom Herman's leading the program. Dan Mullen, Steve Adazio, Dan McCarney, Doc Holliday, and I guess that's kind of why guys come here now, because they know they're going to probably get, if things work out, they'll get that. So I expect it. That's about 2 a year. I always keep a little sheet of who I think's next, and I hate losing great coaches. Like I hate when the juniors declares early. But I also love it for them, and that's why we do it. So I'm great with it.
And last question, Clay.
Yeah, how week is over, Coach? You're in a new phase.
Yeah.
Is it Virginia Tech from here on in, or?
Yeah, it's we actually started a little bit earlier, obviously, because we open up with them, and we have a lot of respect for who they are, and they beat us. So we've been working on them a little bit, but it's going to be in earnest now. It's going to be a good, over half our practice will be devoted to Virginia Tech now.
How many starters do you have right now?
Starters.
How many
Positions?
Yeah, nailed down.
It'd have to take me a minute. Offensive line set, quarterback's not set, tailback set. Receiver's gonna be a group of, 5 guys probably. Tight end set, Nick Vanette's also goes in the most improved category. He's had a great camp. On defensive line, still, that's not set yet. You know what the first group is, it's the rotations are not set yet. Linebacker is set and secondary set, so we're ready to rock and roll. Having a battle kicker right now. That new guy came in, Jack, yeah, he had 2 60-yarders in practice the other day. And,
Somebody got the strike?
yeah. And then back-to-back, never seen that before. 60-yarders, one would have made it.
Next to him?
What?
Were you standing next to him?
Oh,
when
yeah.
you did it?
Yeah. And it was on that really nice grass, it was about that long down at Coffee, too.
On different
Is that lit a fire in that competition? I mean,
Yeah.
you see Sean.
Yeah, if you said who's kicking right now, I can't answer that question.
Wow. Hey, good thing, anybody else have any kind of like injury kind of situation through this week besides Weber?
I told you about Munger and Hill, they're gonna be back. Mike Thomas, I held him out, bone bruise on his foot, but he's fine. He'll practice Monday, and I think that's it. Dontre missed a few days, it's just from sore foot, but he went today. So we've made it to this point pretty good.
When you say those 5 receivers, did you have the 5 guys in mind?
5 or 6. Mike Thomas, Noah Brown, not counting the 3 that are not playing in the first game will be in there because they're all having a good camp. And Paris Warren and Paris Warren played for me at Utah. Paris Campbell and Terry McLaurin are close. Johnny Dixon. So we got some guys. And Torrance is scratching the surface too right now.
Anticipate moving Curtis back to?
Oh no, Curtis is in there too.
Okay.
He's up in the top 5. So now I gotta go, I'll be right back, I gotta go tell Curtis, it's okay, Curtis, because your sources said. Have a good day, thanks.
Thank you, Coach. Oh, yeah, go ahead.